We want to call this meeting together, or to order. It's good having you all here today. Commissioner Scott Jenkins here. And I'm also with Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner Frohr. We've been gone for a few weeks, so we're kind of getting our feet on the ground, getting back in the saddle here ourselves, so it's good to have you all here today. We will start this meeting today with an invocation by Joe Hadley. Is Joe here? There he is. And Kyle Nyland will do a Pledge of Allegiance. Joe, go ahead.
Our kind dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that we can gather here today in this beautiful building and that we can live in this wonderful state and county in which we live in. Father, we ask that when the meeting's over that we can all travel home in safety. And we ask this humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Please rise. Follow me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Harvey, your thought of the day today.
You know, yesterday we paused for what we know as Memorial Day. But years ago I learned that it wasn't started as Memorial Day, it started as Decoration Day. A day that we remember those who went before us that allowed us the freedoms we enjoyed. I'm a little embarrassed to say that when I was younger, I really didn't like going to the graves. You know, I remember that my grandparents went all the time, and my parents would go, but I just was too busy for that kind of stuff. Well, this year, even amidst the weather, my sweet Jane and I, and with our kids, we make it a habit of going every Sunday night to some of the graves, but Jane and I did more than just some of the graves. We decided to visit several different graveyards yesterday, and I started reflecting on those who went before and gave us freedoms. We started reading a lot of different captions that other families had decided to memorialize those who'd gone before and put on those pieces of granite that were there. And I just, there's a calmness, there's a reverence, there's a sweetness about that. So oftentimes in our lives, especially now, we are so busy. We have so many things to do. We have things to approve, or whether it's home or not. We have things to clean. We have things to take care of. We have more things to take care of in our lives. Our lives are busier today than they've ever been. But I would say it's almost a privilege to be able to take time to stop and to meditate, or to think, or to reverence those who have gone before, and what a privilege. I thought a lot about those who are on the shoulder, too, who have gone and served, but are in the twilight part of their lives, or are in care facilities like our Wallen Veterans Home or other places. I thought about the tribute, Commissioner Jenkins, you put together last year, where the Commission honored the World War II veterans from last year. And it was just a wonderful time to just think about. I thought about Major Taylor. And I thought that which led me to families that are still remembering their loved ones in different ways. And I just want to say for me, how grateful I am for those who've made this sacrifice. Not just for those, but for the families. I'm grateful to be able to continue learning. I'm grateful to be able to continue softening. In essence, I've become my father or my grandfather when it comes to visiting graves, and what a privilege that is. And those are my thoughts.
That's a great thought. Thanks, Commissioner. We appreciate that. Well, we will go to the next portion of this meeting, is public comments. Is there any who've come to address the commission today? If you are, right now is a great time to come up and speak to us. Floor is yours. Okay, don't see any, so we'll go ahead and go on. Next item is consent items, and there's a ton of them. We haven't met for several weeks, so you're just going to have to be patient as we work our way through this. Request for approval of warrants, 1793 through 1795 and 439 through 439,150 through 439,356 in the amount of $2,331,129. And that's dated May 14th. Then May 21st is warrant 1796 through 1812, and 439,365 through 439,573 in the amount of $2,234,978. Request for approval of warrants number 1813. Now these are today's current. Through 1819, and 439,574 through 439,868 in the amount of $617,123. Purchase order approvals in the amount of $313,484. Request for approval of the minutes of April 30th and May 7th. Approval of business licenses. Approval of Weber County Internal Audit Department for approval to surplus a bookcase. Oh, that's a request. Yeah, and a request from Weber County Surveyor Recorder's Office to surplus a desk. Request from Weber County Clerk Auditor's Office for approval to surplus some a 4-drawer file cabinet. Sorry, I'm struggling here a little. I brought a cold back with me, and I hate this. Request for Weber County Department of Roads for 4 F-150 pickups. I forgot to mention that to you guys today when you was going through this. I'm not sure I want to approve that, Jason. 4?
We're surplusing those.
Oh, those are surplus ones. Oh, that's right. I did go through that. Yeah. I was thinking they were new, and then I remember reading they were surplus. Okay. Request for Weber Morgan Health Department Emergency Services for approval to surplus small shelving units and a Dell Latitude laptop. Request from Weber Morgan Health Department to approval to surplus a 2004 Crown Vic. I'd like to see that.
A Crown Vic?
Yeah, you know, they haven't made that for
I know
several
it.
years.
You know that it's got a few miles on it.
Yeah, that's probably worth money as an antique. Request for approval of retirement agreement by and between Weber County and the following individuals: Brian Cleveland, Jennifer Costley, and Dolores Taylor. Request from Weber County Tax Review Committee for approval to ratify a reduction in taxes for the tax year of 2017 for parcel number 16-249-0001. That's, we should make note there that we do lower taxes once in a while. It's rare, but once in a while they go down. Request from Weber County Tax Review Committee for approval to deny the request to reduce valuations on parcel number 11-222-0006. Request for approval to ratify approval of the Ramp Easy Grant recommendations, and a request for approval to ratify contracts by and between Weber County and the following ramp grants, as listed. I'm not going to go through and read all those. There's got to be 40 there. They're on today's agenda. They've been noticed, and they're all there. Is there any questions about those ramp grants by anyone? All right, they're the ones that are listed. All right. Those are our consent items. Is there any questions, commissioners, about those?
None from me.
Mr. Taylor, why don't you talk to us a little bit about that? I asked you to make to give us an answer on.
Summit RDA.
Oh yeah, the RDA. There was $1.3 million in there on RDA reimbursements, and I want kind of a list of those.
Yes, purchasing dug into those and it got us an answer. Those are actually 3 payments, tax increment payments for the Summit RDA. All of those were approved in previous commission, so this is now they're coming up and we're covering those now.
Okay, so we got Summit and we've got Compass. What was the third one?
So as part of the Powder Mountain RDA, there was Summit and Compass were both listed together. Is that the way that was broken down? So underneath Powder Mountain RDA.
Compass Minerals is out of the lake.
There were 3 payments, and there were 3 payments that went under the Summit Group, and then the Compass Mineral was $916K.
Okay, well, I didn't see that listed as 3 payments.
So this, Commissioner, this happened on the 9th or 10th of May. So this is before the notes that we had for this morning, and Lynn, what are they calling it? It's the county paying its tax liability for 2018.
That's what you have listed here.
That's from Mr. Scott Parker.
As I understand it, just to be making sure, repeat the obvious, but these are payments for contracts that were already previously entered into between the county and those respective organizations.
Correct.
And because they've satisfied those things on the part of their agreement, then we can now release the funds on those RDA payments.
All of that I understand. We had that conversation, and I'm okay with all that. But $1,320,000, you take that and you take $166,000 for Summit, and you take Compass Mineral at $916, and you're still minus a couple $100,000. And that's why I'm trying to, that's why we go through these bills, is to make sure everything adds up, and that doesn't add up.
We'll continue to research that.
Well, I'm not going to prove it then if you can't answer that. I mean, the point is, and it's in here, so it's one of these others that I don't recognize that amounts to that, because it adds up to that $1.3 million. Well, so as you go through here,
Commissioners, as I understand that total, it has to do with those other ones that were prepared by Roger Brunker. Is he available to explain that? Is he here?
Do you want me to call?
Yeah, if maybe we could just hold that particular item. But I believe I had a conversation with Roger months ago, and it's because they were satisfied. I feel comfortable with them. I don't want you. I'd like to get, especially since it's been called out, I'd like to make it a matter of public. So it'd be great.
it's a big dollar value.
Yeah, it's a big dollar. I don't think there's any question
No, I've got no- yeah,
that this was approved at some point in time. I guess what I would like to do, and I don't have any issue with approving it, but I'd like to get to the details as far as the length of time and what we've actually entered into.
Let's.
I don't think we change it at this point in time. Would like some clarification.
Rod, they've gone to get Roger Brunker right now, so we get a little more explanation. So we can maybe.
Sure.
So,
So I'm open for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we make a motion of the We approve the consent items as listed except for the RDA items that were called out to question until we have further explanation.
Okay, motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion, a second. So we'll exclude from the, and hopefully this will just be momentarily. We'll come right back and fix
Sure.
it. From the 14th, May 14th bill, we're going to exclude the $1,320,445.05 until we find out what it is.
The RDA's, right.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved that way. Very good, thank you. So, back to action items. First item on our agenda is approval of Weber County opioid cost recovery public nuisance resolution. Brian Barron, you going to make that presentation?
We actually have one of the attorneys that we've hired
Matt?
to represent us in this litigation who's going to present
McKeown.
this. Matt McKeown, yeah.
Morning, Commissioners. Good to see you.
Glad to see you here, man.
I think I've been before Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner Jenkins, but Commissioner Froer, am I saying that right? It's good to meet you. Yeah, so I think you've got this before you. I think Chris Crockett may have provided you a copy. And the purpose of this resolution is based upon some tricks that we've seen the defendants in the lawsuits using across the United States. And what they're doing is trying to get certain claims dismissed from these opioid lawsuits because the counties or the cities did not pass a resolution declaring opioids a public nuisance. And so it's more of a formality that we're doing just to kind of preempt and make sure we don't have any claims dismissed based on that argument. And of the 16 counties that we represent in Utah, I think about half of them so far have entered these resolutions, and we're working with the rest of them to get them entered. So any questions from the commissioners about the purpose or the language?
Commissioners, either of you?
Yeah, let me just clarify. So I'm assuming we're going to be part of the state lawsuit filed by the state attorney general. Is that correct?
No, actually, Commissioner, we our theory and our belief is that this belongs in the counties, that the counties should be seeking their own recovery. And so we filed last year a lawsuit on behalf of Weber County against certain opioid companies. And that's on its own, it's in its own universe. The state attorney general is pursuing the state's damages. So there are different and distinct damages that counties have borne. There's different damages that the state has borne, and there's different damages that even the health districts and the health departments have borne. And so we're seeking to recover just Weber County's damages that they've incurred trying to fight the opioid epidemic.
Okay, so explain this to me then. So is Weber County, are we on our own in this lawsuit? Are we conjoined with other counties, or?
So right now you're alone in your lawsuit, but what we've done is in order to expedite what's called discovery, so in these lawsuits you've got a long time to investigate and get all of the evidence that you need. And so in order to streamline that, we've worked cooperatively with the defendants, and we're moving all of the cases into Summit County's case. And Summit County, we also represent them. They were the first filed case in Utah. And so there's a judge, a very smart judge in Salt Lake County, Judge Rich Mrazek, who has the Summit County case, and then we're moving all the rest of them into there just for discovery and for pretrial matters. And so we are going to be working together. We've got 16 counties currently. I'm going to go see Emery, Wayne, and Morgan County next week, so we anticipate 19 or 20 counties will be represented by the same group of attorneys, my firm and 2 other firms. And so we're not going it alone by any means. We are part of a big team. Almost 2/3 of the counties in the state are represented by our group. But if it does go to trial, which we don't anticipate, we think we're already seeing settlements happen in the state of Oklahoma. A couple of the defendants have settled to the tune of several $1 million with the counties in the state there. But should we try the case, we want the ability to come back and try it here in Weber in front of jurors that are members of this community.
Good. So as I understand, this is a huge deal. I think the state of Oklahoma is just proceeding this week, if I'm not mistaken, on their suit. And I also understand that in Oklahoma, two or three of the manufacturers have settled. Is
That's
that correct?
Yes, that is.
So with that in mind, can you explain to me what our downside would be in terms of cost with this lawsuit?
There's no downside in cost because if we're not successful, the county does not pay a dime. If we are successful, the recovery will first reimburse us for any costs that we've incurred. The law firms are fronting the costs for experts and depositions and other discovery. Should we be successful and get Weber County some funds to fight this epidemic, we are then reimbursed for what we fronted, and then we have a modest contingency fee of 20% for the attorney time that we've invested in the case. But the rest goes to Weber to try and fight this, to try and get remediation in place, to try and get addiction treatment in place, and other things. These are costs you've already incurred and costs you'll incur in the future, likely, as this epidemic, hopefully we can wind it down.
Okay, so just so we're clear on this for the taxpayers.
Yep.
We're not upfronting any taxpayer dollars for this. There's no risk to the public. This is not a lawsuit that taxpayers of the state will be obligated to regardless of the result. So it can only be an upside for this academic if we are successful in this lawsuit. Would that be correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Very good.
I want to keep the focus on those who, I respect the fact and think that opioids are addictive. When this was brought to us, Mr. Barron, initially, it was the understanding, I think, by this body that we were joining other counties to participate with the state in this lawsuit with regards to opioid manufacturers.
We discussed the options initially, and back then we decided that it would be best if Weber County moved forward on its own. And so that's the contract that we entered into with the attorneys, is to represent us individually.
Remember it that way.
Commissioner Harvey, if I could speak to that for just a moment. So the Oklahoma settlements, one problem that they're having there is these manufacturers have settled with the state of Oklahoma, but there's numerous counties within the state that have also filed suits, their own suits against the manufacturers. And the state, what we want to try and avoid is what happened in Big Tobacco, which is where all the settlement money went to the state, and then the states built roads. They didn't fight tobacco addiction, and they didn't help people with cancer. And so if the damages and we recover on the county level, it's closer to the boots on the ground. You guys know where this money needs to go for your citizenry. We're not saying Attorney General Reyes doesn't understand the epidemic.
Nor am I.
Yeah, we feel strongly, though, that you're in the best position, and if we can get the recovery to the county, that you are going to be able to use that money more wisely. But you're not alone, okay? So to speaking to being alone, like I said, we have 16 counties in Utah that our group represents. And we look at that as, although we're trying to recover just Weber's damages for you, you're part of a group, okay? And there's strength in numbers. And also, the national firm that we work with has over 200 counties across the U.S., and they are on the forefront of what's called the multi-district litigation in Cleveland, Ohio. So we're able to keep our cases in Utah State Court because there's a couple of bad actors who are Utah citizens, but most of these cases across the country go to federal court, and then they get shipped to Cleveland. And so there's about 1,800 cases there in Cleveland that this one judge is in charge of. And so our national team, that is one of your attorneys, they're called Napoli Shkolnik, they are part of a group of 3 main firms that are kind of running that MDL for the plaintiffs. And so we are able to specify what we're going to do for Weber, but we have a team. You're not alone at all.
Very good. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
So I've seen this morning's paper where the state just filed on this.
The state of Utah? I haven't seen that yet. What the state of Utah did is initially filed a lawsuit, and then they dismissed that, and then they filed an administrative action, which is kind of an interesting strategy. We don't agree with it. We think that the civil claims are where there's going to be the majority of the recovery. But there are some statutes, and we've included those in our complaint. It's not that we're not including the things that the state are, but we have a broader array of damages we're trying to recover. So I'll check into what the state is doing. We are keeping an eye on what the state of Utah is doing, what the other counties, for instance, Davis went with another team of attorneys, but we are keeping an eye on their strategy, and we're always willing to look and make sure we're doing the best thing for our clients.
Well, it was in the Enterprise newspaper. I read that.
Let me ask one additional question. So just a little more detailed question. So do you think the foundation of this case relies upon the marketing efforts that these manufacturers put forth? Because it seems like if you look at the suits that have been settled so far, it had to do with marketing versus anything else. Would you agree with that, or what?
Yeah, that's the main thrust of the case, is that these companies knew of the addictive nature of opioids. They'd been marketing for quite some time for treatment of acute pain, so post-traumatic accident, car accident, things of that nature. But over time, they noticed that as their market share was decreasing, they decided to market it for long-term chronic pain. So back pain that I'm going to deal with for a number of years, and they pushed those and misinformed doctors and misinformed the public. And then, as it states in the resolution, then that leads to heroin addiction. It leads to people buying pills on the street and things of that nature. So yes, it is based on, in large part, on the manufacturers understanding the addictive nature, yet pushing them for long-term use. And in Utah, we've got a different environment based on the predominant religious persuasion, where if a doctor prescribes it, we believe it's okay. And that's I'm not saying that the public is allowed to be naive. I mean, we need to research these things, but we do trust our medical professionals, and our medical professionals trust these manufacturers. And when there's FDA approval and things of that nature, that's a big problem, right? We need to hold these people accountable for not telling the truth.
Yeah, and I would agree with that.
I've got one last question. So, Jason, were you involved in this decision? Tell me why that is, Brian.
Purchasing was involved in the decision, but this was before Jason was hired. We put this out for a request for proposals. We had several large firms that submitted proposals to the county. We had a committee that reviewed them all, looked at all the different strategies, and in the end we decided to go with these attorneys because of their experience, because of their strategy, and because of this national firm and the leadership that they're showing in these types of cases.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you for that explanation. I would move to approve the Weber County Opioid Cost Recovery Public Nuisance Resolution that was just presented before us, and I fully support this effort.
Second.
Have motion is second.
Commissioners, it's Resolution 28.
Resolution 28. Go ahead.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Farrar?
Aye.
And Chair Jenkins.
Aye. Very good. Holland, I seen you walk back in. Are you ready to answer that question we had? Roger, why don't you come up and take the podium here and see if you can answer that. We had questions on the $1.3 million didn't add up to the ones we could identify, and I'm sure there's some in there we didn't identify.
I'm coming in cold. I apologize. Nothing like getting a call that you need in the commission chamber without knowing what it's about.
Sure.
So you can imagine my assumption is, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was an issue about the difference between what your spreadsheet showed on GSL or Compass Minerals.
There were.
So what it shows, under redevelopment agencies, it shows $1,320,000.
Okay.
Well, when I go to the other side of the sheet to identify where that $1.3 million comes from, I have $916,914 from Compass Minerals, and I have $166,000 from, where did that go? Summit Group. And that doesn't add up to $1.3 million, and I was wondering what other ones were in there.
For the Weber County project areas, those are the only two that we have. I think the concern is for Compass Minerals, this was their last year. 2018 was the last year that they were going to collect increment. We had a surplus in that fund because of about 4 years ago, legislative changes. We had to, instead of pay what they requested, pay 100% of increment. Well, so we ended up having to pay 100% of increment, even though they didn't need it that much. So when we did our computations, we only dispersed X amount of dollars that they needed, which left us a balance. We can't use that balance for anything but that project area. If there's nothing to be done in that project area, that money has to go back then to the individual entities because that's their money. In 2018, we had enough surplus that we didn't even have to collect any money for Compass Minerals. We were just going to use what we had, and we still have a little bit of surplus that in 2019, during final settlement, we are going to disperse back to the different entities. So the spreadsheet is a little bit convoluted in that the one column is showing we dispersed that money to Compass Minerals, but we didn't collect any money for 2018 because we had a surplus. My assumption is that's what the discrepancy is. Does that make sense?
It does, but that's not the case here.
Okay.
No, I'm telling you, this spreadsheet, this is our warrants, and one side is by vendor and the other is by department, and they should add up.
Okay.
It's that simple. They should add up. I mean, this is debits and credits. This goes back to basic accounting, and they don't add up. It's pretty simple.
We agree. So if you'll give us an opportunity to go back and look at where the discrepancies are between the different entities, I think that will help the math work out a little bit better. So unless there's a timing issue, if we could hold this one and look at it possibly next week.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We've approved it except for this. I just wanted to know, you know, when you review these, we're at the 30,000 foot level. So you always pick out the large amounts, and you want to spread those to make sure we haven't made mistakes.
Sure.
And they just should add up.
And for the citizens, we appreciate your doing that. That's what we want to do, is make sure that there's not an error there. So if you catch something that we didn't, we want to make sure we fix that, or if there's an explanation that goes along with that, we want to be able to provide that.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Sorry to be hard Eddie on this, but they should add up. That's pretty simple. Yeah, that's right. Debits and credits. This goes back to very simple stuff.
Eddie?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
Did you ever hear that in high school?
No.
You know, Eddie was a tough guy until when you're being a hard Eddie.
Oh, he was gone by the time I got to high school.
By the time you got there. All right, next item up. Approval of a resolution of Weber County, Commissioners of Weber County to appoint members to the Ogden Valley Recreation Transmission Special Service District. Stacy Skeen.
Good morning.
That is in our packet.
We've had 2 members from the Ogden Valley Recreation Transmission Special Service District resign, so I posted for a midterm vacancy in accordance with the state statute. We received 2 applications for the 2 positions, and if approved, those applicants would just resume the term of those who resigned. So their terms would end at the end of December 31st, 2020 for both of them.
Okay, so it's Michael Zindel and Kimball Hale.
Correct.
Okay. Commissioners, got any questions? Okay, this is in your area.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with both these individuals, and both of them that I've been told have expressed an interest in serving, so I would,
You okay with that appointment?
I'm okay with that appointment. In fact, I'd make a motion to approve the resolution to appoint members, Ogden Valley Recreation and Transmission Special Service District, and those 2 people would be Kimball Hale and Michael Zindel.
Zendale, yep. Great, I'll second that motion, and I also just want to comment, this is a group that I'm glad to know that they're running now under the county, and we're bringing those names here. This is a good progress in the county that we've done over the last couple of years, and so good, thank you. So second with that comment, thank you.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Fatima, what number is that?
29.
29.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Faur?
Aye.
And Chair Jenkins?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. Item 3 is a request for a contract by and between Weber County and the state of Utah for bailiff services to the district. Aaron Perry.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a renewal of an existing contract that we already have with the state for the bailiff and court security services that we provide at both juvenile court and the district court. So there's no changes to this new contract that would take effect July 1.
Well, don't we normally get a chance to raise these a little?
We try, but that's a pretty hard fight to get those raised.
Is it? Well,
Yeah.
when I sat down and went through this, you know, it's a big contract, so it's hard to
It's a very large
understand everything that's
contract.
happening in there. But we just renewed the previous contract. And that I could get out of that. So I was just wondering why we didn't get a chance to increase that at all. Do they pay the same rate across the state?
Correct.
So whatever they pay, that's what we're tied into.
Basically, correct.
I'd like to get a little more money.
We try. We try to work with it, but it's a set rate that they calculate.
As a sheriff's
so-
association? Do you
You know,
do,
when we do this.
Yeah,
At
correct.
state level, they, this is part of the fees they approve every year.
maybe that's something we can write down and have them, because our costs continue to,
We should,
Okay.
this is one we probably ought to bring up, the bailiff contract.
I'll make a note on that. We need to
Yeah.
make, that's
So,
a,
yeah, you need to remind us of this in
We'll do.
January when we start our lobbying down there.
Yeah, we'll do.
Very good. I'm open for a motion.
I'll make that motion, so move.
I'd second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract between Weber State and the State of Utah for the bailiff, or for Weber County, State of Utah for the bailiff services at the District Juvenile Court. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Very good. Next is request for approval of contract between Weber County and Alta Janitorial Services for services at the Weber County Roads Department. Joe, did he leave? Oh, here he is. Go ahead, Joe. You're so short, I couldn't see you down there.
So this is an addendum to the contract between Weber County and Alta Janitorial Services. The purpose of the contract is to add services to the Weber County Road Department. For the last few months, we've been unhappy with the services we've been getting. I've contacted property management. They recommended Alta Janitorial, so we reached out to them, and we've been happy and eager to get them on board.
So this is a contract that they bid to us?
It's an addendum to the contract. We already have a contract with them.
So Joe, we're okay with this? Very good. Our purchasing gurus over there giving us the up and down. Very good. Any questions, commissioners?
No, no
Motion?
questions. I'll make a motion to approve the contract by between Weber County and Alta Janitorial Services for the cleaning services at the Weber County Roads Building.
Second.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. Thanks, Joe. We appreciate that. Oh, so Joe, there is a question I had for you while you're right here. On the bills we approved today, you had $17,000 in there for hauling. What piece of equipment was that for?
For Holland?
Hauling,
Oh, Holland Equipment.
Hauling, thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll have to research that and find out what it is.
We
Not
thought
offhand. Do you know
We
when?
thought it was for a truck. Oh, Honan, Honan. I'm sorry. Was it for a truck? Piece of truck you had?
Honan Equipment. We had a repair service for Honan. Is that the one? It was just a repair on a truck.
Truck. That's a big repair, 17 grand.
It was a huge repair. Yeah. I'll get you the information. I don't have it on hand.
Throw that off the top.
I should, but I can't think of what it was.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, item 5 is approval for a contract binding between Weber County and Custom Auto Refinishing for sales and repair finishing and sales for repair on county cars when needed. Kyle, what's that all about, Kyle?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So what this is a contract with Custom Auto Refinishing. They're just down the road here. So as you know, we have about 800 pieces of equipment in the county of wheeled vehicles. So occasionally we do get into accidents. So the process before getting an actual contract was we had to have the person that got into the accident take the vehicle around to 3 repair shops in the area and get 3 bids, and then we'd have to send those to USIP, our insurance provider, and then they would review those bids, and then they'd send them back to us and tell us to take it to the body shop that they chose. So that took a lot of time for a lot of people involved in the county. So what we did to streamline that process is I worked with USIP to see if they had an issue if we just got a vendor under state contract or got a preferred vendor. So what we did is they said, yeah, we would prefer that you had just a sole vendor that you went to because it streamlines the process. And also what we found when we'd send a vehicle to a body shop is is we'd have the initial bid of $5,000, and then later down the process, they would find more damage that was wrong with the vehicle, then they'd sublet repairs for what could be a few thousand. So what this contract helps mitigate is the sublet repairs, because we can take it to this body shop and they'll be able to identify those hidden damages and actually give us an upfront bid from day one. So this contract was sent out on the procurement process, and we had 2 that came back. Custom Auto was one, and Apparatus was the second. They were in Salt Lake, and they were much, much higher than Custom. So the rate that they gave us is $40 an hour. It's outlined in the contract. I think you have a copy of it, but it's at a reduced rate than what we were paying when we would take it to the low bid of the 3. It's actually about $6 to $8 an hour cheaper. So we're going to see significant savings there, as well as the time that it took. Like I mentioned before, everybody involved to have to go around getting the 3 bids. So this contract is good for 2 years. It terminates in December of 2020. So happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Comment on this. I know over the last 20, 25 years when those things would happen, it was hard, because not only would we as division directors have to go out and make sure that we're complying and making sure that our costs and our purchasing things were in line, but it's not something we did all day, every day. I really like the idea that we as a county are now streamlining. We're all going to the same source, and so there's a level of consistency with that. I trust the work that you've done and the homework you've done, and I think it's just, philosophically speaking, it's a great idea that we're all now using the same thing, and of those people who have vehicles in their charge can now have a more clear picture of what to do in the process. So this is a strengthening process and a cost-saving process for us. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Ready for a motion?
Yeah.
Well, I got a few questions. I understand what you're trying to do here, Kyle, but when you take the bid process out of it, then what ends up happening is these guys say, well, that fender, the book says that that's a 10-hour project, so it's a $400 project to do. And it takes the process of bidding and awarding low bidder out of the process. I don't know. I understand that. And on one hand, it does save us hours running around.
So to the point of the flat rate, most body shops in the area use Mitchell 1. It's a standard system, so no matter what body shop you go to, they'll select Fender, and it'll give a flat rate of 4.5 hours or whatever it is, and then it's whatever their hourly rate is. So we've had a few, and I've went back and compiled a lot of data. I've looked at a lot of the other body shops in the area and looked at these guys, and I still look at those and say, well, I don't think the Fender was 5 hours, but I haven't found any yet that I'm like, well, that's way out of line or way high or whatnot. But like I said before, without this contract, what I did see was that they knew that you were just going out around getting 3 quotes, so they'd bid it low, and then once you get it in there, they'd sublet all these additional repairs that they said they couldn't find during the initial inspection. Is the main reason that I'm hoping to mitigate with just having a contract.
And I would, I think that this does make sense, that you've locked in your price to a certain extent per hour, and it is a time savings. Plus, at this point, with this contract, it appears to me you can lock in with our contractor a little more ability to determine exactly what those damages are on the front side, rather than change orders, I guess is what we'd call them in the construction business. So I'm actually comfortable with the work you've done on this, and you did obviously put this out to other auto repair shops and had the ability to bid on this as well. So it's not like this is a sole source contract.
Correct.
So I'm actually comfortable with this, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead and make a motion then.
So I would make a motion to approve the contract between Weber County and Custom Auto Refinishing for repairs on county cars as needed.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Got it all. Thanks, Kyle. Item 6 is a request for approval of contracts by and between Weber County and the following for the 2019 Weber County Fair. Brian Frederickson is a bullfight announcer, Glenn Giles is a horse pull announcer, and Donald Nash Entertainment as a bubble tower. Good
Yes, sir.
night. Ashton Wilson.
Okay.
Tell us about those.
We are requesting approval to hire Brian Frederickson as the bullfight announcer for $300. That's including the sound system. He's bringing that himself, so that's included in the price. And that is August 8th of the fair. Glenn Gillies, he's the horse pull announcer for $200, and that'll be in the GSA, which will have new fans in, so it won't be so miserably hot in there. For $200, and then the bubble tower is exactly what it sounds like. It's a giant tower that shoots bubbles out of the top, and kids love it. So that's for $4,000, and then we're going to take care of their room accommodations with that as well. And then it also comes along with like stilt walkers for kids. So that'll be something fun for kids to do during the fair as well.
Glenn's a new guy. We used to be Wes
Yeah,
for
yeah.
years, I mean decades. Wes.
I haven't been able to get a hold of him, so our superintendent ended up reaching out to Glenn, and I've worked with him before, and so he does a great job.
Commissioner, those horse pulls they're unique and exciting. Some of the best things that's to our fair. Boy, I love it.
They are cool.
We were there together last year from Bill Cox up in, yeah.
All right, I'm not opposed to this.
I'll make a motion then.
Good.
That we approve the contract by and between Weber County and Brian Frederickson, Glenn Gillies, and Donald Nash Entertainment.
I think that's Giles.
Giles?
Is it Giles?
It's pronounced Gillies.
Gillies.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Hold
you.
on, I'm going to do something
Ashton,
really quick.
hold on.
I
Yeah.
got to change this lectern down here.
Yeah, it's backwards.
It is backwards.
So, Ashton, tell us how the fair's going. You should have a pretty good idea how you're shaping up right now.
Yes, we're excited. We've got the rodeo on Wednesday. We've got bullfights, which is new. We've replaced MMA with bullfights, and we've never really had an event like that in northern Utah. So I'm super excited for that. We've got a concert on Thursday, and then, Friday, and then Saturday. Oh, we've got our Indian relay races. We've been working on that, so you guys, that's not come across your desk yet. And then our demolition derby, and we've got a new producer for the derby, so hopefully that'll be awesome for this year.
You know, we went to the Southeast Idaho State Fair, and we watched those Indian horse races.
Yeah,
Wow. That's all I can say. If you've not seen them before, you've not seen something. That's about as exciting of any event I've ever watched.
good.
And it's crazy.
yeah. This is the same group that goes to the Pendleton Roundup in Oregon, and if you're familiar with that, you know, I mean, it's a pretty big deal that they're going to come. They're out of South Dakota, and they're super excited. They've mentioned bringing their world finals to the Golden Spike, and so
Well, that's great.
they're really excited to be here.
Thanks, Ashton. We
Okay, thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it. You bet.
No, careful. There's plugs in there.
Oh, geez, there goes our power's gone.
Boy. Don't let the Incredible Hulk move that around. There we go.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, next up is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Broken Heart Rodeo Company for production of the rodeo at the 2019 County Fair. Duncan?
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is the contract for the rodeo with us in Broken Heart. I think they've done it for the last 12, 15 years. Pretty much the same contract we've had with them for a long time. They come in and put on a great show and clean up after themselves.
They do a great job.
Yeah.
Uh,
Any question? Go
I'll
ahead.
I'll make a motion, we approve the contract by and between Weber County and the Broken Heart Rodeo for those services.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Duncan.
Thanks,
Approved,
Commissioners.
you bet. Next is a contract by and between Weber County and Carrie Gittens for the 2019 Kids Act Up musical.
What I'd like to do is take that, Commissioner, if I could. As you know,
Hold
Cassie.
on, I'm not sure I want to give it to you.
Okay, fine.
Okay, I guess you're a poor replacement for Cassie.
No, I don't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
Now what are you going to do? No. You know, I'm sorry to say Cassie's unable to be here because of the loss of her father.
Oh, I've been out of town. Did her father die?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's both parents within, what, 2 months, 3
Yeah.
months? So, but these are fairly simple. Karen Gittens is the musical director for Kids Act Up. These are outside contracts, so they're just easy. I know that both this contract and the next one coming have been reviewed by Jason Horn and also by Chris Crockett. So this is a wonderful gal who's got a lot of credentials, and especially with this Kids Act Up musical summer theater, it'll be a good thing. So my recommendation is that we go ahead and approve this contract.
Good. Why are you going to make a motion to that?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
I'll second that.
And we have a motion and a second to approve the contract between Weber County and Karen Gittens for the Kids Act Up musical theater for 2019. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Next is a request. I assume you're going to do this one as well?
Please.
Okay. Contract by and between Weber County and Maury Tarbox for the 2019 Ogden Musical Theater Season Artistic Director.
Yes, Mari Tarbox basically should be like a full-time seasonal employee, but in the business, the value of what we're getting based on what we're paying for this, it's like a paid volunteer. Mari has world-acclaimed credentials and is using that talent right here in our own Peary's Egyptian Theater, Ogden Musical Theater. So I would absolutely, without question, make a motion that we, if Mari's willing to come to help us, we take it and we contract with her. So I'd make a motion to the effect that we contract between Weber County and Mari Tarbox for the Ogden Musical Theater as the artistic director.
I would second that. I had the opportunity to meet this gentleman during the Spike 150 event. Seemed like a great individual. I think we're fortunate to have him as part of this theater season.
Great. All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's been approved. Item 10 is request for a resolution of the Weber County Commission approving the 2018 Municipal Waste Planning Program Annual Report. Chad Meyerhofer.
Commissioners, how are you?
Good. I read that report, and I couldn't tell by reading that if that $40 fee we're charging was an increase or not. Was it?
So we did an increase from $30 to $40 back in 2017. So right now the $40 is just the general fee that we've been charging since that update in 2017. Portion of that fee also we collect that for Central Weber and send it to Central Weber. So there's about roughly a little less than $25 in there that we collect for Central Weber and send to them. So
Okay, so on this, the other question I have is, in that, what would you call it, that bill that came with it? Anyway, you went through there and listed all the things. We got enough money, what, by the way, you listed, it was okay for 5 years and 10 years, but you skipped over the 20-year question.
yeah, it's kind of tough at this point really to look, I mean, as far as me for looking that far out. So, I mean, our system, we're kind of a little bit luckier than most sewer systems out there because most of our infrastructure is really fairly new, relatively speaking, being that we've just had them, kind of the oldest part of our system in 2003. So it's kind of tough for me really to know what's going to happen or what's going to start breaking down in, say, 25 or 30 or 50 years to know if we really have the funds there to cover it. So what we did to get that fee is we went through and looked at a lifespan of the lines, the manholes, different things like that, and projected them of about 100-year lifespan on that. And so you never know, sometimes with the sewer you might have some areas that break down a little bit earlier, some that are going to go a little bit longer, but I don't know if I feel comfortable saying yes or no that we have enough funds for those, years projected out that far, unfortunately.
The monthly fee, the $40?
Yeah, yep.
That's fairly high, actually. So I think we're okay.
Same.
Commissioners, any other questions?
I like that there's a process. Thank you.
For motion?
I am.
Yes, I would make a motion, Mr. Chair, for approval of resolution from the County Commission of Weber County approving the 2018 Municipal Wastewater Planning Program Annual Report.
Resolution 30. Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Sorry, did somebody second that?
Aye.
Oh, I second. I'll second.
Okay.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Farrar?
Aye.
And Chair Jenkins?
Aye.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Appreciate that. Good job. All right, request for approval of the first reading of a fee ordinance and amendment related to the clerk auditor's office. So is Ricky not going to present that, because that's whose name I got down here?
That'll be me, if that's okay, Commissioner.
Just fine.
All right. So the clerk auditor's office, on a periodic review of their fees, realized that we hadn't updated our fees in the clerk auditor's office for the services we provide in quite a while. Thank you to Fatima, who took the lead on getting all of these updated through all the different departments in the clerk auditor's office. A couple of the notable ones, the passport execution fee, that fee is actually dictated by the Department of State, and we don't have any leeway on that one. They directed us to raise that to 35, so we're doing the same here in the fee ordinance. We also realized that our customers for passports, there's a need for passport photos, and so we've started providing that as a service. We're adding that to our fee ordinance. And then finally, marriage licenses have been $30 for a number of years. We would like to raise that to $40. That's in line with what is the charge at Davis County.
Very good. If you remember, Ricky talked to us earlier about the fact that this is the first time in how many years, Lynn?
I do know, since before I was here. I've been here since.
Yeah, so it's like 20 or more years that these fees have been raised.
Isn't that long? Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of years.
This is exciting. It's appropriate. Questions, either of you? Okay.
No.
I'm ready for motion.
So moved. I'll move that we approve the fee ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Very good. 12 is a request for approval to ratify contract by and between Weber County and Fluence Automation for equipment and software support for the election department. Ryan Calley.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's good to be here.
Good morning.
So this contract that you have before you is a ratification of a contract. I think Ricky or I have spoken to each of you either individually on this. And basically what this is a contract for some equipment and support that will help us sort ballots and help us gather or collect the signature and do the signature verification process. With this, about half of this will be funded through grant money that we have from the state and the federal government. So that's...
No?
No?
Ryan continues to run the best election office in the state, if not the whole land, the whole United States. What a great.
The world?
The world.
Well, I agree. It's certainly best in the state.
No, it's good in the state.
I don't know the whole world, but I know the state.
I would agree.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to ratify the contract between Weber County and Fluence Automation for equipment and software support for the elections department.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Ryan, this is in your budget, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Second. Bye.
Fine. Good. It's approved. Thanks, Ryan. Okay, finally, commissioner comments. This is your job. Anybody want to say anything?
Well, we can't let this opportunity go away,
I
so.
know.
You know, it's been a couple, 3 weeks since we've had a commission meeting. We've all been out doing some different things, and it's great to be back. Obviously, where we're done, our feet are back in the fire again, but I'm excited for the next couple, 3 weeks as we look forward to the fair and some other great things happening in Weber County.
Me too. And it was a productive, a lot of it was work-related, what we did in our respective areas. But we divided and conquered. It was productive for me, very productive.
It's great to be back, though.
Oh, you're not a kid. You're not a kid.
Well, so we have a request for a motion to close the meeting to discuss pending litigation. Is that still the case, Brian?
Yes, Commissioners.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
very good.
It's a roll call.
Pardon?
Roll call
Roll
vote.
call.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Commissioner Farrar?
Aye.
Chair Jenkins?
Aye. So this meeting will now be closed, and if you want to hang around, we'll be out in a half hour or so to close the meeting. Anyway, thank you for your attendance today, everybody. It's good seeing y'all.